The question isn't why we try to get Brittany Griner home. We should be trying to get all of our people home. Again, that would have included the hundreds or if not thousands of people we left behind in Afghanistan when we turned the place over to the Taliban in cowardly fashion. But I'm glad that Brittany Griner is home. The question is why we traded one of the world's most notorious arms dealers for a WNBA player. That seems like a really crappy trade. The United States is the most powerful force literally in human history. And a second-rate power like Russia is able to pull off this swap. I mean, this is Ernie Broglio for Lou Brock when it comes to foreign policy. According to the Washington Post, at a U.S. penitentiary in Marion, Illinois, in a special unit so restrictive it has the nickname Little Guantanamo, a broad-chested, mustachioed man nicknamed the Merchant of Death, who speaks at least 6 languages, was serving a 25-year term after building a gun-smuggling empire that spanned the globe. His name was Victor Bout. His native Russia wanted him home badly. The big question is why? Well, Bout is the most notorious arms dealer of his time, accused of profiting from weapons that fueled conflict in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. There's little doubt that Bout is a top prize for Russian officials who protested his treatment since his 2008 arrest in Thailand after a DEA sting. Steve Zissou, Bout's New York-based lawyer, warned in July no Americans will be exchanged unless Victor Bout is sent home. What's less clear is exactly why Russia cares so much about Bout. When CIA Director William Burns at the Aspen Security Forum was asked why Russia wanted him, Burns responded, "That's a good question, because Victor Bout's a creep." Bout's lawyers argued the swap was fair. Though Russia complained that Bout was entrapped by the DEA, many U.S. officials and analysts say Moscow's anger was not linked to the merits of the case, but rather Bout's links to Russian military intelligence. Wieloski, a National Security Council official in the Clinton administration, said it's clear he had significant ties to Russian government circles. Russia's military intelligence agency, commonly known as the GRU, has a reputation for taking bold and risky action. It has been accused in recent years of operations ranging from hacking elections to assassinating dissidents. Reports suggest Bout could have close ties to Igor Sechin, a former deputy prime minister of Russia and an ally of Putin. Bout has denied links to the GRU, but that silence could be the point. The arms trafficker refused to cooperate with U.S. authorities even as he sat for over a decade. So they wanted him home, and we gave him up for a WNBA player. At the very least, if you're going to give up Victor Bout, you get more for him than Brittany Griner. But we're supposed to believe that this is a particularly good trade. Why is it a particularly good trade? Well, because of identity, of course. That's what makes this a particularly good trade. It's perfectly worthwhile. I mean, listen, still a better trade than the Taliban 5 for deserter Bo Bergdahl, right? That was Obama's trade. So Obama was the worst hostage trading GM in American history. I mean, just awful, awful, awful. But Biden is coming in close second. Here was Joe Biden yesterday championing the Brittany Griner trade.
In the Oval Office, I spoke with Brittany Griner. She's safe. She's on a plane. She's on her way home. After months of being unjustly detained in Russia, held under intolerable circumstances. Brittany will soon be back in the arms of her loved ones, and she should have been there all along. This is a day we've worked toward for a long time. We never stopped pushing for her release. It took painstaking and intense negotiations, and I want to thank all the hardworking public servants across my administration who worked tirelessly to secure her release.
So he was very happy. He is flanked, of course, by Kamala Harris and Brittany Griner's wife. And so this was part of the deal, right? So what we are going to see now is a litany of praise for Joe Biden, not just because he got an American citizen home, because, of course, the last American citizen who came home did not receive anything remotely like this level of attention from the Biden administration or from the media. And Joe Biden could have taken a victory lap on that one. He didn't. He took a victory lap on this one because of Brittany Griner's intersectional status. So Karine Jean-Pierre, world's worst press secretary, she says that Brittany Griner represents the best of America. She's not just an American citizen. It's not just about getting American citizens home. Brittany Griner is what America is all about, kneeling for the national anthem and being a black lesbian.
Brittany's safe return home is the product of months and months of painstaking negotiations that were the culmination of extraordinary efforts across the U.S. government. Throughout her ordeal, we saw Brittany, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist for Team USA, demonstrate strength, courage, and dignity. As the president said this morning, she represents the best of America. On a personal note, Brittany is more than an athlete, more than an Olympian. She is an important role model and inspiration to millions of Americans, particularly the LGBTQI plus Americans and women of color.
So that is the key takeaway here is on a personal note for KJP. Brittany is an important role model and an inspiration to millions of Americans because she is a gay black woman. right? That is the thing that makes her so darn important. We'll get to more on this in just one second. First, look your best this holiday season with Genucel Skincare. Now through Christmas, Genucel's most popular package is 70% off. This includes 2 months worth of Genucel's bestsellers, plus they're hyaluronic acid serum free with your purchase. My mom has used Genucel products. My wife has used Genucel products. They really are fantastic. They recommend it to pretty much everybody. Genucel uses a proprietary base with clinical levels of botanical extracts, which come together to yield amazing results. Genucel products are natural, cruelty-free, made in the United States. Treat yourself and a loved one's skincare that'll take years off your skin. Watch those forehead wrinkles, fine lines, skin redness, pesky bags, and puffiness disappear right before your eyes with Genucel's most popular collection. You'll see immediate effects in less than 12 hours guaranteed, or your money back. Visit Genucel.com/Shapiro. Use code Shapiro for an additional 10% off your order. Plus, every order is instantly upgraded to free express shipping. That's Genucel.com/Shapiro. Genucel.com/Shapiro. GENUCEL.com/Shapiro to get started. Nancy Pelosi, meanwhile, said that her freedom is a gift to the world. Well, I mean, again, I'm glad an American citizen is coming home. A gift to the world seems a little strong to me.
How wonderful is it that on the same day that Brittany Griner is going to be free, thank you, President Biden, free to go home to her wife on the same day that we passed the Marriage Protection Act. So we are Respect for Marriage, the Respect for Marriage Act. So we're just, her freedom is a gift to the world, to all of us.
Her freedom is a gift to the world, to all of us, because she's going home to her wife and we just passed the Same-Sex Marriage Act in the House? What? Why the special, really, why the special status and why the special treatment? It is hard not to come to the conclusion that there was special status and special treatment specifically because of the intersectional status of this person. All American citizens, I'll say it for the 5th time in the show, all American citizens should be pursued with alacrity if they're being held in detainment. None of them are being pursued with the same alacrity that allows Victor Bout to be released in exchange for them, while members of the president's party go around spouting about how important this particular person is specifically because she is a black lesbian. And again, this was the line in the press. And Don Lemon, the very objective journalismer over at CNN, he said, this is so important for the LGBTQ plus community. Why are members of the LGBTQ plus community in the United States disproportionately being held in Russian prisons for smuggling drugs into the country?
So I don't see this as a bad sign for Paul Whelan. I think it's a good sign for what Americans can do when we stand together.
I think I would be remiss if we did not mention also the importance this plays for the LGBTQ community.
Yes, sir.
As we've been talking about black women, this is big. So this is for the LGBTQ community. GLAAD releasing a statement, obviously, just I'm summarizing here that they're happy and that shows the struggles and the danger that members of the LGBT community face around the world.
What in the world? Why is it? What? But Paul Whelan is still in prison. Apparently he put out a statement saying that he is disappointed that more has not been done to secure his release. And if it is indeed true that they had a choice between Whelan and Griner, you do have to ask the question as to why Whelan was the guy who wasn't coming home while Griner was the person who was coming home. Here was Paul Whelan talking about it.
Paul Whelan says the president needs to bring him home, and soon.
I have to say I am greatly disappointed that more has not been done to secure my release, especially as the 4-year anniversary of my arrest is coming up. I was arrested for a crime that never occurred. I'm happy that Brittany is going home today and that Trevor went home when he did, but I don't understand why I'm still sitting here.
That would be the big question. And I think the answer, if it turns out that it was either Whelan or Griner, I think the answer from the way that the White House is treating this and the way the press is treating it is pretty damned obvious. And meanwhile, as Nancy Pelosi mentioned, she's very excited that Brittany Griner is coming home. She's specifically excited because it's the same day that the House passed same-sex marriage. That's the really important thing, guys. Don't worry. But by the way, if you mention, this is again the face tattoo syndrome that Democrats and the left, the press like to play, which is, as I've said before, face tattoo syndrome is you go into the Starbucks and there's a dude with a giant face tattoo, which is just a desperate plea for attention. And you're kind of weirdly staring at it because the guy's got a face tattoo. He's like, what are you staring at? Like, well, it's the face tattoo. But you're not supposed to notice because if you notice, it's bad. So this is the same thing Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats do. They overtly say things like, it is very important to free some hostages more than other hostages because they are lesbians. And then and also, it's so important that we do that because we're changing the social status of America. And you're like, well, I disagree. Like, how dare you? How dare you? Again, this is the same Nancy Pelosi who was on RuPaul's Drag Race and talked about how RuPaul's Drag Race was the best of America. It's totally normal. Right? I mean, that's what George Washington, the founders, fought for. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into the House enshrining same-sex marriage. Plus, we'll be joined by Bishop Robert Barron. If you're not a member, click the link in the description and join us.